Yo, what's going on guys? HyperX here, and today I want to talk about Destiny 2.
NANI?
Yes, that's right, I know I haven't spoken about this game for quite some time because honestly, I have been a lapsed player. I'm someone that used to play a ton of Destiny. We of course used to cover it on the channel, and then there kind of came a point where I dropped off. And then following that, I've always sort of paid attention to what's been going on, looking at the updates, kind of sort of deciding when might be the right time to jump back in. I've dabbled here or there, but safe to say I haven't played in quite a while. But I did still watch the showcase today, and there are some pretty cool new things coming, which might well be of interest to lapsed players. So obviously, if you guys are fully invested in Destiny, you know this stuff already. But if you're like me, and maybe you haven't played for a while and you want to know whether there might be reasons to jump back in, then let's talk about a few of the things you might want to know about. I do of course want to take a moment to very kindly thank Bungie for sponsoring this video, but let's dive in to the main thing. So of course the first thing is the story. The Witch Queen is the title of the next big installment. Now keep in mind, there is some stuff happening before that, which I'll touch on a little bit later, but the kind of big marquee event was the Witch Queen. 22nd of February next year is the next sort of big story beat for the game, all revolving around Savathun, who is a person that we've known about for quite some time. This is sort of like 7 years building up. There's been a lot of story threads that link to this character. I'm not going to go super in depth on the lore front because there are people far more qualified to talk about that than me. But I will say that obviously one of the most exciting times back in the day was jumping into the Taken King, and some of those story threads link back to that. So having Savathun be like the lead point for this next big story beat is actually very exciting. We get to see some of her throne world, which is this fantastic looking environment that's been created in her own image. And more interestingly, as part of the story, she has Hive Guardians. They're basically Hive that she's ascended to the light, meaning they can use Guardian abilities, and they even have their own ghosts, which are crazy looking, and also when you defeat them, you crush the ghost, which looks hella cool. But I will say, Bungie, if you're listening, I mean, I know they're obviously not going to do this because it probably goes against some story thing, but you know what? Since we've now seen Hive Guardians, if in a future expansion you want to let me play as a Hive Guardian, I'm not going to say no, because they do look kind of cool. But I will say, in a combat point of view, it does seem quite interesting, the idea of going toe-to-toe with basically other Guardians in Hive form, which is kind of cool. So story-wise, if you like Destiny's story, then this might well be something to pay attention to. However, moving on from there into point number 2, we have the Glaive, a brand new melee weapon, which, look, right, I'm a Monster Hunter player, I like weapons, alright? You give me a sword, I'm there. You give me a hammer, I'm there. Now they're giving me a glaive. It's not an insect glaive, so you won't be vaulting up into the air with a little insect bug, but this is quite cool. This is actually the very first-person melee weapon. Of course, in Destiny, normally you draw a sword, you go into third person. This is a first-person melee weapon, and it actually has a range of interesting abilities in that you can use it for melee combat. You can also fire mid-ranged projectiles, and it will also have some defensive capabilities. So it's a rather interesting new weapon type. And they did actually go to say in the recap that there will in the future be class-specific exotic variants with unique attacks. So while at the beginning, they'll all be pretty standard, later on there will be some personalization, which is kind of cool. However, what is interesting is that how you obtain this is very different. And that leads me on to point number 3, a new thing for Destiny, and that is weapon crafting. This is a whole new system, a whole new way to obtain them. There are certain weapons, the glaive is one of them. The glaive is the first thing you will craft, but outside of that, there will be a whole range of different weapons you're able to craft, and that means these are items that you won't find from a chest, from a raid drop, from a random loot drop. These are things you will find or you will craft through the process. You go to this new area, and you then create like a base version, and following that, the more you use it, the more they level up, and of course the more abilities you unlock. They will of course dive into that much deeper later on. It was only very brief during the showcase, but the prospect of weapon crafting, it's kind of something that I've always wanted in Destiny and just in general, because anytime you play these MMO style games, whether they be deep MMOs or MMO lights, regardless, crafting is just always a fun thing to do. I feel like it's sometimes more rewarding. I mean, you want to have a good balance. You obviously want to have random loot drop items, but sometimes being able to pursue something and actually craft it is hella cool. So, weapon crafting coming to Destiny. Now, moving on from there to the next point, something else for the sort of PvP fans out there. I'll admit, PvP's never really been my forte. I'm not incredibly good at it. However, for Trials of Osiris fans out there, you will of course know that is typically an endgame activity that you have to have a pre-made team for, much like you do with raids. However, one thing they are going to be adding into Trials of Osiris is matchmaking, both for solos and duos, so basically you can just find a fire team. And they're also adding in anti-cheat. They've paired up with BattleEye, so of course that is one of the things they've been trying to address for quite some time. So basically adding in some anti-cheat and the ability to now matchmake means that if you've never been able to play or never been able to kind of, partake in Trials of Osiris because you haven't had a team or you haven't had the necessary setup to get yourself to the lighthouse, then this could well be your opportunity to jump in. They even said they're going to be changing the way that you go about earning loot. Obviously, the flawless card is still a thing. If you want to get some of the cool cosmetics and some of the adept items, you will still need to go flawless. But they said that in order to earn some of the earlier items, it'll be less so about consecutive wins and it'll be more so just about racking up wins over time. So it might well be one of those things where you jump in, win a match, then you lose, but you still accumulated a victory of sorts. That way, more people can experience it. So Trials of Osiris is becoming more accessible if you haven't got a fire team. Additionally, if you want to play with friends on different platforms, the other point is Crossplay is now live today. So if, I know at one point in the past they had the ability to move your save over to different platforms, but they're now doing Crossplay. So irrespective of your platform, you can now play with your friends. So that is going to be a great thing moving into the future because, of course, if you are someone that has maybe stopped playing, like myself, and maybe you were on a console, but your friends have shifted over to like PC, at least this way you won't have to build up a whole new Guardian all over again. You can then just jump in Crossplay. And then finally, the next point is what is next? Because of course, the Witch Queen is coming, but it's not until next year, the 22nd of February. So in the meantime, kicking off today, in fact, is the Season of the Lost. This is part of the final shape. This is sort of like the big next storytelling beat for Destiny. And Season of the Lost is the prologue to the Witch Queen. Kicks off today, runs all the way up until the Witch Queen comes out, and during this you'll get an opportunity to obtain some cool exotics, meet up with Mara Sov again, and kind of go through the story beat that leads up to the events of the Witch Queen. However, on top of that, in December, to celebrate 30 years of Bungie, they have a big anniversary event planned, and in this anniversary event, there's going to be lots of cool stuff to obtain. There's a special sort of Thorn-themed armor set, which looks really, really cool. Yalahorn is making a return. There's a treasure-themed 3-player dungeon in the Cosmotron, which takes place in the Loot Cave. Shout out to the Loot Cave, old school throwback right there. Plus, there's also some fun extra items. There's Marathon and Bungie 30th Anniversary streetwear-inspired ornaments. There are collections of Destiny 1 weapons, including things like Eya's Luna and a 1,000-yard stare. There's the Claymore sword inspired by Myth, shotgun inspired by Marathon. There are helmet ornaments, exotic sparrows, ships, emblems. Basically, there's a lot of stuff. So, in the timeline, you've basically got Season of the Lost to keep you busy for the time being, plus some anniversary stuff to look forward to at the end of the year, and then next year, we dive in to meet the Witch Queen. So, that's pretty much it. That is a little summary of some of the stuff coming to Destiny 2, and reasons that maybe, if you haven't played for a while, you might want to jump back in. New weapons, new enemies to fight, new interesting story beats, and of course some accessibility options in terms of matchmaking and crossplay. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let me know if you guys are maybe Laps players and if you're maybe thinking this could be a chance to jump back in. But either way, I definitely can't wait to sort of see the continuation of the story. So I am definitely going to be watching this one and develop. So thanks very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll catch you in the next one. If you want to catch more from us at HyperX Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch, and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below. And of course, you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.